الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Inshallah, today we are going to continue with our Quranic overview, and today we want to take the last surah from the fourth group of surahs, Surah Al-Ahzab. And we'll take a bit of time on this, inshallah. And then I think the next group of surahs, before going into the actual surahs, I will probably spend a bit of time talking about Tawheed and Shirk, so we have an overview of what Tawheed and Shirk is. And then we can hopefully appreciate those surahs coming in the next group, because the next group is about Tawheed. So let's recap, inshallah, our groups of surahs. Can you close the door, please? Okay. So the groups of surahs that we have been looking at, this is the three groups that we've looked at already. The first group from Al-Fatiha to Al-Ma'idah regarding the Sharia, and then Surah Al-An'am to At-Tawbah, the second group, giving us the methodology of the Prophet ﷺ of achieving the vision of Shahada al-Nas, conveying the message to mankind. And then the third group of surahs we looked at, which was from Surah Yunus to Surah Nur. This was all about motivation for us to also achieve the vision of Shahada al-Nas, knowing that this process is a process of struggle between haqq and batil, truth and falsehood, fact and fiction. But in the end of the day, truth always prevails over the falsehood. And the fourth, fifth and sixth group, as we mentioned earlier, all three of these, they focus on Iman. Iman in Risala, Iman in Tawheed, Iman in the Akhirah. And then we said there are two strands throughout these last three groups. One strand is evidences for Risala, evidences for Tawheed, evidences for Akhirah, and how to manage a conversation of da'wah when people ask certain questions or they have certain queries. And at the same time, the expectations from those who believe in Risala, Tawheed and Akhirah. So we have looked at the evidences and the discussion to provide the proof of the Prophet ﷺ in the surahs from Al-Furqan up to now. But now we want to look at Surah Al-Ahzab in terms of what are the expectations from Allah of those who believe in Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. This is the focus for the Surah Al-Ahzab. Surah Al-Ahzab, the period of revelation for this surah is very obvious. It is the Battle of Ahzab, period of revelation, 5th year of Hijrah, 5th year after Hijri. And if we go back to the resource, if we go to the timeline, and this is on the website, the Sirah timeline, we can, alhamdulillah, very quickly see in the Sirah timeline, we are in the Battle of Ahzab here. Yeah. So the Battle of Ahzab is what we are talking about right now. The 5th year of Hijri. The 5th year of Hijri. And before that, we see the 1st year of the Prophet ﷺ coming to Medina, establishing the state as a society. And then the 2nd year of Hijrah in Ramadan, the Battle of Badr, which was also the first installment of adab from Allah upon the specific audience of the Prophet ﷺ. Then the Battle of Uhud, which was a further blow to the Quraysh, but it was also a big lesson for the Ummah until the last day. The importance of unity and discipline and obedience of the Prophet ﷺ. And then after that, we find now the Battle of Ahzab. Now, a bit of background for this Battle of Ahzab. So as we know, internally in Medina, the Prophet ﷺ, he had entered into in Medina internally, he had entered into contracts with different tribes, especially the Jewish tribes, like Banu Qurayza, Banu Nadir, etc. What was the contract? The contract was to defend, joint defense of Medina. Joint defense of Medina. So this is Medina. Imagine this is Medina. And this is, of course, against Quraysh. Quraysh, who are bloodthirsty for revenge now that they have been defeated. And with the coming of every day, they are being defeated in every aspect. And the believers, the Prophet ﷺ and the believers are being victorious in every aspect, be it the fact that more people are entering Islam, be it that he has now become more economically stable, more politically stable, more geographically, he has more power and sphere of influence, etc., etc. So the Prophet ﷺ, he made this contract of joint defense with the tribes of the Jews. The other challenge within Medina was, if I put another circle there, another challenge, internal challenge, was that of munafiqun, nifaq. Yes, munafiqun. The hypocrites at the under the leadership of Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Sulul. Ibn Sulul. Ibn Sulul. We should know these names, Ibn Sulul. I'll write it. Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Sulul. He is the chief hypocrite. He is the leader of the hypocrites. And they have now concocted all types of plans with the Jewish tribes internally, and then externally with the Quraysh. And then Quraysh has then got together with Ahzab. Ahzab means different groups, groups, all different tribes, that together now they will jointly attack Medina. And they will wipe out this menace that they would consider and this problem once and for all, straight out. So this was, in a way, it was the United Nations of that era, of that geographical remit, if you like, The United Nations, meaning Ahzab, they all got together. They united together against a handful, in their eyes, of Muslims, a few thousand. So the timeline mentions that there was when they came to attack Medina, 10,000 of them came, together, joint allied forces. You heard of this? Joint allied forces against 3,000 believers in Medina. Now, what happened was that the situation was such that it was very, very difficult for the believers, because they had to now plan, once the Prophet heard of this imminent attack, he had to plan the defense. What would be the defense strategy of the Muslims in Medina? So on the advice of Salman al-Farisi, radiyallahu anhu, he said we should dig a trench, dig a trench around Medina, Medina. This is not very accurate, I'm just to illustrate, And therefore, because there were mountains, mountains looks like a face, it shouldn't have looked like a face, but anyway, there were mountains, these were mountain ranges, even from behind the believers in Medina. So this would be the trench that Salman al-Farsi, he was accustomed to, because in their era, in their vicinity in Persia, they would do this as a defense mechanism. And the trench, when then was dug, the trench was dug by the Prophet ﷺ at the leadership of this. He was also digging the trench, and it was solid ground. It was concrete, solid ground, if you like. Yeah, it was hard rock. It wasn't gardening in soft soil. And this took a lot of hard work, and there was a shortage of food because they had just come out of a famine. And there was a lot of danger. Yes, because the Ahzab, they have come and they have camped outside of Medina. Yeah, they are surrounding. So no exit from Medina, no entrance into Medina. They have laid siege. So the Prophet ﷺ and the believers are even, have to be alert. They cannot even go to relieve themselves without having fear of the enemy. Okay? So in this situation, Allah Ta'ala, He has set the scene now. Yes, He has set the scene for a few things to happen. Number one, to test the believers, to see who are the true believers. Yeah? To know who are the munafiqeen. And to clearly show who are the people, the Jewish tribes that will now go against they will break their contract, yeah? They will breach their contracts. So that in the end of the day, the believers will know exactly who are their friend and who are their foes. Every hidden agenda will be made clear because of the circumstances. Allah creates the circumstances such, لِيَمِيزَ الْخَبِيثِ مِنَ الطَّيِّبِ, as He mentioned in Surah Al-Anfal, to differentiate the impure from the pure. And this was a very, very hard time, very difficult. And this is the time when the Prophet ﷺ, as you know, they were very hungry, and the Sahaba, they tied rocks to their bellies. And then when one of the Sahabi came to the Prophet ﷺ to mention this, the Prophet ﷺ, when he uncovered his belly, he had 2 stones tied to his belly. Sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. So it was difficult times. It was very cold. It was scary. It was very challenging. And we will see in this surah, Zulzilu zilzalan shadida. Allah Ta'ala, He shook the believers a severe shaking to test their mettle, yeah, to test their real strength. And the true believers, they became stronger in their iman because they said, this is what Allah and His Messenger promised. But the munafiqeen, they said that what Allah and His Messenger had promised was a fake promise. It was a lie, na'udhu billah. And this differentiated the two. The believers are at the forefront, and the munafiqeen, as usual, as we saw in Surah Tawbah for Tabuk, they made excuses and they said our houses are open to attack. But Allah Ta'ala says, وَمَا هِيَ بِأَوْرَى, they were not open to attack. These people are just lying. So it was made clear. So, just an interesting incident at the beginning of this, no real battle took place, but there was some mubazarat. Mubazara is a hand-to-hand or person-to-person, one-on-one combat. And the very famous one mentioned here is that of, there was one of these very famous fighters, if I remember correctly, his name, Abdullah ibn Wad. Abdullah ibn Wad. And he was an older man, but he was a fierce warrior. And he challenged the believers to a duel, one-on-one duel. And he said that I challenge any one of you, but he was so self-confident. And from the side of the Prophet ﷺ, the believers, Ali radiallahu anhu, he took up this challenge after being given the permission by the Prophet ﷺ, and he severed him and he killed him. And this was the beginning of the victory. But as I said, not many fights took place. Yes, because the Quraysh and the Ahzab, the confederates, the allied forces, they could not enter into the battlefield. They couldn't pass the trench. Okay, they couldn't pass the trench. So no real battle took place. And then because this was a test to see the believers and the munafiqeen, etc., then Allah Ta'ala, He sent after the siege of, as it says in the timeline, approximately over a month, Allah Ta'ala sent a very strong wind that uprooted the tents and the belongings and shattered all of their belongings and provisions. And then the Ahzab, and at that time the Quraysh were being led by who? Abu Sufyan. Abu Jahl had been killed in Badr. Yeah, Abu Sufyan. And they had to then flee. They had to run away. And they left disappointed, completely shattered and miserable, because now this is it. This is the worst defeat. Yeah, this is the worst defeat that you can imagine. It was like picking the best football players, yeah, from every team, handpicked, and then this handpicked team gets smashed. That's the end of it. Yes, and the Prophet ﷺ said after the Battle of Ahzab that they will not attack you after this year now. Now you will be at the forefront. And this is what happens with Hudaybiyah, because it is Fatha Mubina, it is a clear victory. And then Khaybar, and then Allah Ta'ala gives the Fatha of Makkah, and the doors of Fath, they continue until the last day. Yes, so we should view it as that. Surah Hudaybiyah was the beginning of the Fath of this deen until the last day. SubhanAllah. And that's what we should always have in mind. So with that brief introduction into Surah Al-Ahzab and the different challenges internally and externally that were faced by the Prophet ﷺ, let's now start to look at some of the ayat of Surah Al-Ahzab. Bismillah. So the central theme of Surah Al-Ahzab: understand the responsibility of being given an amana, a trust. The trust is that you are Khalifatul Ard, you are the representative of Allah on earth. Act upon the family, the social, communal, defense, political, and all other systems that Allah has guided you to with sincerity, leaving nifaq and kufr. Be sincere to Allah, and He will give you victory. Let's take first some ayat then. The first ayah in this surah Al-Ahzab. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This surah has been then repeated again later on in ayah 48 with a bit of change. Ya ayyuhan nabiyyu ittaqillaha, O Messenger, O Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, fear Allah. وَلَا تُطِعِ الْكَافِرِينَ وَالْمُنَافِقِينَ, and do not obey the disbelievers and the hypocrites, because these are the two enemies, yeah? The external enemy, the kafir; the internal enemy, the munafiq. Okay? So do not lean towards them, yeah? Do not have any sympathy for them. Inna Allah aliman hakima, Allah Ta'ala, He knows and He is wise in His advice that He is giving to you. Now, the Battle of Ahzab. Let's take the Battle of Ahzab, the ayat that then explain the Battle of Ahzab. Let's go through that section first, and then we will go through the section of our relationship with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because this is what I mentioned yesterday. This was the research task, to see which of the ayat in this surah they tell us and guide us on how we should deal with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So let's first look at the Ghazwa of Ahzab, first of all, Battle of the Trench. We will go from ayah 9 to ayah 13. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ جاءتكم جنود فأرسلنا عليهم ريحا وجنودا لم تروها وكان الله بما تعملون بصيرا. Allah Ta'ala is reminding the believers of His favor when He sent that wind that removed the Ahzab. إذ جاءوكم من فوقكم ومن أسفل منكم. They came from the top of you and from below you. وَإِزَاغَتِ الْأَبْصَارُ وَبَلَغَتِ الْقُلُوبُ الْحَنَاجِرَ وَتَظُنُّونَ بِاللَّهِ الظُّنُونَ. And it was so terrifying that the eyes shifted in fear and the hearts reached the throats. And you started to think about Allah Ta'ala, many different things. هُنَالِكَ ابْتُلِيَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. This was a test for the believers. Ibtila. وَزُلْزِلُ زِلْزَالًا شَدِيدًا. And it was a very severe shaking. Yes, to rattle the believers, to know who are the true believers from the others. وَإِذْ يَقُولُ الْمُنَافِقُونَ. And so the attitude of the munafiqeen. وَالَّذِينَ فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ مَرَضٌ. And the people who have a disease in their hearts, they asked, مَا وَعَدَنَ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ إِلَّا غُرُورًا. They said that what Allah and His Messenger promised, they promised victory. This was a ghurur, this was a delusion, this is a lie. Na'udhu billah. And then they said to the believers, وَإِذْ قَالَتْ طَائِفَةٌ مِّنْهُمْ يَا أَهْلَ يَثْرِبْ لَا مُقَامَ لَكُمْ فَارْجِعُوا. They said to the people of Yathrib, you have no way, yeah, you're going to be doomed now, so you might as well return. وَيَسْتَأْذِنُ فَرِيقٌ مِّنْهُمُ النَّبِيِّ. And part of these munafiqeen, they were asking the Prophet ﷺ to be permitted to go to their homes rather than to fight. يَقُولُونَ إِنَّا بُيُوتَنَا عَوْرَةٌ. Making the excuse that our houses are open and exposed to the enemy. وَمَا هِيَ بِأَوْرَةٍ. While they were not exposed. إِن يُرِيدُونَ إِلَّا فِرَارًا. Their whole objective was to run away. Firar, to run away and to flee from the battle. And then the attitude, and then the battle has again been mentioned. I'm just picking some ayat. And they would ask from far away, yes, who fled, they would ask the Bedouins, is the battle over or not? Yeah, so they even fled from the Medina. This was how scared they were. And again, the attitudes of the believers. وَلَمَّا رَأَى الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الْأَحْزَابَ. When the believers saw this 10,000 army, what did they say? قَالُوا هَذَا مَا وَعَدَنَا اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ وَصَدَقَ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ. Subhanallah. They said, this is exactly what Allah and His Messenger had promised. And He had promised this in which surah? You remember? Surah Al-Baqarah. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَالنَّقْصِ مِنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. Yeah? Allah Ta'ala said He would test you. So they said, this is exactly what Allah Ta'ala mentioned. وَمَا زَادَهُمْ إِلَّا إِيمَانًا وَتَسْلِيمًا. And this challenge, what did it do to the believers? It increased them in Iman. This is what we should face. Whenever we face a challenge, it should increase us in Iman. Unlike may Allah protect us from people who say, no, I lost my faith because of a challenge. No. It should increase you in Iman. وَالتَّسْلِيمًا. And your humility to obey Allah and the Messenger should increase. مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ رِجَالٌ صَدَقُوا. There are those who have fulfilled their promise, meaning they have died for Allah. مَا أَحَدُ اللَّهَ عَلَيْهِ فَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ قَضَى نَحْبًا. Some of them are still waiting for this. وَمَا بَدَّلُوا تَبْدِيلًا. And then Allah Ta'ala is saying, Allah Ta'ala wants to give this reward to the true believers and to give the adab to the munafiqeen. And then we move on to this 3 ayat that summarize the end of the whole battle. وَرَدَّ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا بِغَيْظِهِمْ لَمْ يَنَالُوا خَيْرًا. And Allah repelled those who disbelieved, all the Ahzab. Yes, they had to flee. In their rage, they were raging. Yeah, they couldn't believe the fact that they were unsuccessful, not having obtained any good. They in fact lost everything. وَكَفَى اللَّهُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ الْقِتَالِ. And Allah was sufficient for the believers in their battle. Allah Ta'ala, He fought on the behalf of the believers. وَكَانَ اللَّهُ قَوِيًّا عَزِيزًا. Indeed, Allah Ta'ala, He is all powerful and exalted. And then Allah Ta'ala, He is giving the good news to the believers that in the future, وَأَوْرَثَكُمْ أَرْضَهُمْ وَدِيَارَهُمْ وَأَمْوَالَهُمْ وَأَرْضًا لَمْ تَطَعُوهَا. And He calls you to inherit their lands and their homes and their properties and the land that you will, in the future, you will tread on through the conquests of the future. وَكَانَ اللَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرًا. And Allah Ta'ala, He is all aware of this. And this we can relate to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ when he said that you will now conquer them after this year, they will not attack you after this year. So these are some ayat about the Battle of Ahzab from the surah to tell us the attitude of the believers and the attitude of the munafiqun. And we should learn a lesson from this. We should learn a lesson from this, that whenever Allah Ta'ala and His Rasul, He needs us in that, the deen needs us, because the deen needs us. Yeah, the deen is in need of the believers to propagate it, to first of all learn it themselves. We ourselves should learn the deen and we should convey the message. And this is what we should be doing. And if we don't do this and we make excuses, then may Allah protect us. May Allah protect us. May Allah protect us going toward nifaq. Yeah. So we cannot afford to neglect this obligation that Allah has placed upon us as the ummah of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. Now, very important ayat on the relationship, our relationship with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yeah. So for ease, if you look at the booklet, the summary booklet in Surah Al-Ahzab, the section on Surah Al-Ahzab, the verses have been written for you there. Yeah. So requirements of the belief in the Prophet ﷺ, these ayat 6, 21, 36, 40 and 56. I'm going to go through these now. Yeah. So these are the expectations by Allah if we really believe in Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. Number 1, ayah number 6, An-Nabiyyu awla bil mu'minina min anfusihim. The Prophet is more worthy of the believers than themselves, and he is more beloved to them than even their own selves. As the Prophet ﷺ said, none of you believes until you love me more than your father, your son, and everything on earth. On everything. You love Rasulullah ﷺ more than anything, then you have Iman. وَأَزْوَاجُهُ أُمَّهَاتُهُم, and his wives, they are your mothers. So this is one relationship that we have with the Prophet ﷺ is based on love for the Prophet ﷺ. May Allah give us love for the Prophet ﷺ. And then the second aspect of our relationship with the Prophet ﷺ in ayah 21. لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ لِمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو اللَّهَ وَالْيَوْمَ الْآخِرَ وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا. Indeed, in the Prophet ﷺ is the best example for us, because we believe in Allah, that we will meet Him, and we believe in the last day. And we, inshallah, we are people who remember Allah a lot. So Allah Ta'ala is telling us Rasulullah is the role model. Role model means the one we look up to, the one we know everything about whom, and the one who we want to aspire to follow and obey and be as close to as we can in our person, in our lifestyle, in our thinking, even in our wishing. Even in our wishing. I was listening to one of my Ustadhs, may Allah bless him. He was saying many times we say that there is sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, where there is one sunnah which is something we should follow, but then there is sunnah ada. Sunnah ada means his personal likes or dislikes. Yeah, and people sometimes they undermine the personal likes or dislikes of the Prophet ﷺ. And my teacher, he was saying that the Prophet ﷺ, he used to, in one sitting gathering from the hadith, he was picking out a certain vegetable from the food. Yeah, and this vegetable you could translate as the marrow. Yeah, as a type of marrow. And my Ustadh was saying, you know what, you'd be surprised if you start to even like the food that the Prophet ﷺ used to like. This will have an effect on you, subhanAllah. Even that will have an effect, because this will bring us close to the Prophet ﷺ and love the Prophet ﷺ. Imagine people, I mean, people are mad crazy nowadays, you know, when they follow people on social networking and social media. They want to know people that they look up to, what this person is eating for breakfast, what they're having for lunch, what clothes they wear, everything. And they want to follow that exactly. Yeah, exactly. They want to follow that. No, this instinct that Allah has given us, we should channel this toward the Prophet ﷺ. Yeah, to love everything that he did, to love to know how he sat, how he slept, how he wept, how he ate, how he drank, how he walked, how he combed his hair, how he kept his hair, for example, his clothing, his mannerism, his vision, his aspirations, his days, his nights, his life. Yes, this is what we should know. We should know the seerah of Prophet ﷺ. And there's a very good book, Shama'il of Tirmidhi, Shama'il of At-Tirmidhi, Shama'il At-Tirmidhi, which describe the Prophet ﷺ very closely. Yeah? The size, his size, his height, his weight, his everything, his hands, his fingers, everything. Subhanallah, Allah Ta'ala, He has preserved for us. His eyes, his eyebrows, his nose, his mouth, his teeth, every single thing about the Prophet ﷺ. Everything. For us to love Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. To love him is the best blessing that Allah Ta'ala can give anybody, to love Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. So this is the second aspect of our relationship with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to love him, number one, and then to follow him as our role model, number two. Number three, ayah 36. وَمَا كَانَ لِمُؤْمِنٍ وَلَا مُؤْمِنَةٍ إِذَا قَضَى اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ أَمْرًا أَن يَكُونَ لَهُمُ الْخِيَرَةُ مِنْ أَمْرِهِمْ. This is a very important ayah, and this we should relate to which surah I mentioned last time. Which other surah we should know to know our relationship with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Surah An-Nisa. Surah An-Nisa. Yes. So here Allah Ta'ala is saying, for the true believing men and women, when Allah and His Messenger have decided something, then the true believing men and women, yes, as I mentioned, that the true believing men and women, may Allah make us from them, our hearts are Play-Doh. Yeah, our hearts are Play-Doh. They go wherever Allah wants. They go wherever Rasulullah wants. They are happy with only what Allah is happy with. They are happy with only what Allah is happy with. You see, this is real Iman. This is real Tazkiyah. Real Tazkiyah, may Allah Ta'ala purify our hearts. Real Tazkiyah is when you love what Allah loves. You don't just do it because you have to. You love what Allah loves. Subhanallah. Imagine that, how happy a person becomes. That everything you do, you're loving it. Everything you do, you're loving it. Imagine that. That's paradise on earth. Nothing is forced. Yeah, your heart has become so used to sami'na wa ata'na. And this is what we're trying to train our souls to do now in Ramadan. So when they have decided a matter, then there's no such thing as I think so or my choice. Allah's choice is your choice. You in fact love Allah Ta'ala to choose for you. You love Rasulullah to choose for you. In fact, you are waiting for them to choose for you. You are looking forward for them to choose for you. SubhanAllah. What an honorable soul and heart. And nafs, that is nafsul mutma'innah. That is nafsul mutma'innah. But unfortunately, وَمَنْ يَعْصِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ فَقَدْ ضَلَّ ضَلَالًا مُبِينًا. But those who will still disobey Allah and His Messenger, then they will go far, far, far away. Do not underestimate, as the Prophet ﷺ said, وَلَا تَحْقِرَنَّ مِنَ الْمَعْرُوفِ شَيْئًا وَلَا تَحْقِرَنَّ مِنَ الْمُنْكَرِ شَيْئًا. Do not underestimate any good deed. Yeah, one good deed will lead to another good, to a greater good, and that will lead to a greater good, and then all your life will become a good deed. And do not underestimate a small bad deed, no matter how small you think it is. As the Prophet ﷺ said, one twig, one small twig, and many small twigs, when they get together, they can become a huge fire. So do not underestimate one small thing or one even negligence. You know, when Allah Ta'ala purifies our hearts, inshallah, we will not ask questions as, oh, this is just sunnah. We will not ask questions like that. Because we will say, I want to know what is the sunnah. Because I'm thirsty for the sunnah. I'm hungry for the sunnah. I love the sunnah. I'm looking for the sunnah. I'm trying to search for the sunnah because I'm so much in need of the sunnah of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam to quench my thirst of obedience of Allah. So may Allah Ta'ala guide us towards that. So that is the third aspect. And then the fourth aspect of our relationship with the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. Ayah 40, مَا كَانَ مُحَمَّدٌ أَبَا أَحَدٍ مِّن رِجَالِكُمْ. The Prophet ﷺ is not the father of any men, because he had male children, but they died in infancy, yeah? But not from any men. And there's another reason for that being mentioned here, because in this surah, although I didn't mention it, there is the incident or the case of Zayd ibn Haritha radiallahu anhu, who was known as the son of the Prophet ﷺ, adopted son, but there is no such concept as adoption in Islam. Yeah. So anyway, وَلَكِنْ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ, but he is Rasulullah. He is Rasulullah. Yes. وَخَاتَمَ النَّبِيِّينَ, and he is the seal of the prophets. He is the last seal in all the seals. And as he, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he mentioned in one hadith to explain this, he said the prophethood is like a wall, and all of these different bricks are different prophets. Yes. And then in this wall there is one gap. Yes. I'm trying to make a gap here, but you can't see it because you can't see the colors. If I change the color, and imagine this is there's one space left, and this is the space of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, meaning, just as an illustration, yeah, that he has now completed the whole prophethood. With him, the whole series of prophets has come to an end. It has been completed as well. Yeah, this is a very interesting example that the Prophet gave, that now the whole building is complete. Yes, so you can't add anything to this building, and you can't take anything out from this building. That's why we believe in all the prophets. And the Prophet ﷺ said, La nabiyya ba'di. La nabiyya ba'di. There will be no prophet after me. And anyone who claims prophethood, he is one of the Dajjal. And he is a liar. He is an imposter. He is kadhab. Kadhab means the one who has lied the biggest lie. Kadhab. So the Prophet ﷺ, he is the last of the messengers and the prophets. So what does this mean to us? This is the question we should ask. What does this do to our relationship with Rasulullah? What this does to our relationship with the Prophet ﷺ is as follows. If we take the prophetic, there is a prophetic diagram here. We take that prophetic diagram here, timeline. Now that these are the prophets named in the Quran. Yeah? So once that the Prophet ﷺ, he is the last messenger now. Yeah. So we need to ask the question, he is the last messenger, but people are still being born after the Prophet ﷺ having passed away. So now how are these people going to be guided if there's no prophet or messenger coming after that? Yeah. So the missing chain or the link is that after the Prophet ﷺ, as he said in the last khutbah, he said, long khutbah, and then he said in his last khutbah in his Hajj, he said, فَلْيُبَلِّغِ شَاهِدِ الْغَائِبِ. Fal, if you haven't written this, write this, yeah? فَلْيُبَلِّغ الشاهد الغائب. Okay. فَلْيُبَلِّغ الشاهد الغائب. Those who are present, Shahid, will now convey, so you have to, فَلْيُبَلِّغْ is Amr, to those who are not present. Yes? After he gave his last sermon, and he said, Allah al-Ballaght, he asked the companions, 10,000 of them, if I'm not correct, if 100,000 or 10,000? I think more, 100,000. Okay, anyway. He said, Allah al-Ballaght, have I conveyed my message to you? Yes? And they all said, yes, you have conveyed the message. Yes, you have conveyed the message. And then the Prophet ﷺ looked up to the sky and he said to Allah, be a witness. Allahumma shahad. Oh, Allah be a witness. Allah be a witness. Allah be a witness that I have conveyed the message. They have received the message. I have done itamam al-hujjah. Yes, and this was an indication, and only one or two Sahaba realized that this was now the end of the Prophet ﷺ, and they started to cry. They started to cry because they realized that now that this mission has been accomplished as far as the person of Muhammad ﷺ is concerned, then the next step must be that the Prophet ﷺ has to leave. That's why he is now handing this over to us. Yes. So now the Prophet ﷺ, he has handed over this obligation to his ummah. Yeah, his ummah is now collectively responsible on behalf of the Prophet ﷺ. As he said, "Ballighu anni walau ayah." Ballighu anni, convey from me on my behalf. Be my representative. Be my ambassador. Even if it is one ayah of the Quran, as long as you understood it the way I explained it. Right? Convey even that, meaning every one of the ummah has the honor to be Rasul, Rasulu, Rasulillahi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Every person in this ummah has the honor to be the messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is what it means to us that Allah Ta'ala, He has sealed the prophethood, which means now we have to convey the message of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, the message that he brought in the Quran and in his Sunnah, and which was understood by those whom he certified, and Allah before that certified, as-sabiqun al-awwalun min al-muhajirin wal-ansar wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsanin radiyallahu anhum wa radu an. This is in Surah Tawbah. So that's the fourth aspect of our love and relationship with the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. So we be his helpers in his mission. Imagine that, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imagine that, being a companion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but we were not with him in person, but we were with him in the cause. And then Allah Ta'ala, He honors the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam by telling the believers, Inna Allaha wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi. Indeed, Allah and His messengers even, they are sending Allah Ta'ala's blessings upon Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who believe, sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. You also ask Allah Ta'ala to bless him and to grant him the taslim, peace and prayers upon the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka hamidun majid. So these are the 5 aspects of our relationship, and this is a checklist for us to see how close are we to the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. Do we love him more than everything or anything? Number 1. Is he our real role model? Internally, is he my real aspiration? Am I happy? In fact, do I look forward to him deciding my life and lifestyle for me? Or do I have some problem with that? Do I appreciate and thank Allah for the honor that He has given me as an ummi, as a part of His ummah, to convey the message that He brought, and to show our love and devotion and our respect to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whenever he is mentioned, to say sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is that aspect of our relationship. Now, the next aspect in this surah is of hijab. Let's take some ayat about hijab. 32 to 35. Let's first take that, because you have to study this with which other surah? Surah Nur. Good. I will just take this section. فَلَا تَخْدَعْنَا بِالْقَوْلِ فَيَطْمَعَ الَّذِي فِي قَلْبِهِ مَرَضٌ وَقُلْنَا قَوْلًا مَعْرُوفًا. If you fear, do not be soft in your speech. Allah Ta'ala is telling the wives and the women of the believers, do not be soft in your speech when you have to speak to non-mahram men. Yes, lest in whose heart is a disease, then this disease would become open, meaning this would become a trap, yeah, for that person. And shaitan, he is very, very active in these matters. But speak to them in a manner which is appropriate. So do not make your voice attractive. And because Allah Ta'ala, he has put in the voice of women attraction, so therefore there needs to be an effort to try and make the voice less attractive. So that is one aspect of hijab of the voice. And then Allah Ta'ala is telling the believing men, believing women, وَقَرْنَا فِي بُيُوتِكُنَّ, especially the wives, and then because the wives are the role models for the women. وَقَرْنَا فِي بُيُوتِكُنَّ. Qarna means that you should make your homes your main sphere of activity. وَلَا تَبَرَّجْنَا تَبَرُّجَ الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ الْأُولَى, and do not display your beauty like the ignorance of the past. And then وَأَقِمْنَا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتِينَا الزَّكَاةَ وَآتِينَا اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ. And why Allah Ta'ala is saying all this? إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمُ الرِّجْسَ. He wants to remove all types of sin and impurity. O you, the household of the Prophet ﷺ, which means his wives initially. وَيُطَحِّرَكُمْ تَطْحِيرًا. And he wants to clean you, a beautiful cleansing and a beautiful reward. And then in your homes, what should you be focusing on? يَتْلَى فِي بُيُوتِكُنَّ مِنْ آيَاتِ اللَّهِ. The Quran wal Hikmah, the Sunnah. Yes, the Sunnah. Quran and Hadith. Homes should be the places of teaching Quran and Sunnah. And then moving on to hijab in ayah 53. وَإِذَا سَأَلْتُمُهُنَّ مَتَاعًا فَاسْأَلُوهُنَّ مِنْ وَرَاءِ hijab. This again is regarding the Prophet ﷺ's household, that whenever you want to ask them for something, then ask from behind a screen. Yeah? There should be a physical barrier, and it shouldn't be a see-through one. Like nowadays they have see-through barriers. Yeah, no. It means a see-through, a barrier that you cannot see through. Yes, so that you only interact for need. ذَلِكُمْ أَطْحَرُ لِقُلُوبِكُمْ وَقُلُوبِهِنَّ. SubhanAllah. Allah Ta'ala has mentioned in the previous ayah about the heart, and in this about the heart as well. Yeah, this is purer for the heart. And the first argument that unfortunately Muslims put forward is, I don't need to wear hijab, my heart is clean. I don't need to be away from men, my heart is clean. You contradict Quran when you say that. So we should learn what Allah Ta'ala and Your Rasul say for us. This is better and the best thing for us. And then jilbab has been mentioned in ayah 59 to 60. يا أيها النبي قل لأزواجك وبناتك ونساء المؤمنين يدنين عليهن من جلابيبهن. يدنين عليهن من جلابيبهن. Allah Ta'ala is saying, and the tafsir of this is that you should hang from your head to your toes, yani essentially, more or less, a cloth, an outer garment which would cover you from top to bottom. ذَلِكَ أَدْنَى أَنْ يُعْرَفْنَا فَلَا يُؤْذَيْنَ. This is for your very prestigious, honorable identity to be the believers of this ummah. And Allah Ta'ala, He forgives and He is merciful. And also this is to protect you from the slandering of the munafiqeen. Yes, they are always looking for excuses to cause dissent in the household of the believers by attacking their homes, like we saw in Surah An-Nur. So this will be an important thing. And also this is a social responsibility. Yeah? To dress appropriately is a social responsibility on every human being, every believer. and then we move on. Section 64 to 67. This is mentioning those people, Allah Ta'ala is saying, the disbelievers who have followed their chiefs and their leaders, and now they will regret. Inna Allah la'ana al-kafirina wa adda lahum sa'ira khalidina fiha abadan la yajiduna waliyan wa la nasira yawma tuqallabu wujuhuhum fi an-nar. A'udhu billahi min dhalik. When Allah Ta'ala, He changes their faces in the fire, na'udhu billah. Yaquluna, they will say, Ya laytana, disaster, woe to us. Ata'na Allah wa ata'na Rasula, only if we had obeyed Allah and the Messenger. So may Allah protect us from the hellfire. And they will blame, وَقَالُوا رَبَّنَا إِنَّا أَطَعْنَا سَادَتَنَا وَكُبَرَاءَنَا. We obeyed our masters and our dignitaries. We looked up to these people. We followed them. Whatever they said, we said yes. فَأَضَلُّونَا السَّبِيلَ. They misguided us far, far away from the true path. رَبَّنَا آتِهِمْ ضِعْفَيْنِ مِنَ الْعَذَابِ وَلَعَنْهُمْ لَعْنًا كَبِيرًا. So Allah give them twice the punishment and curse them a great cursing. So this is from the disbelievers. And the last section of the surah, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ittaqullaha wa qulu qawlan sadida. Allah Ta'ala is saying, if you want to improve your affairs and you want Allah to forgive you, then first of all, speak the truth. Always speak that which is correct. He will improve your deeds, amend your deeds, or improve your affairs, and He will forgive you your sins. وَمَنْ يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ فَقَدْ فَازَ فَوْزًا عَظِيمًا. The greatest attainment is to follow and obey Allah and the Messenger. And then the last ayahs mention, إِنَّا أَرَدْنَا الْأَمَانَةَ عَلَى السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَالْجِبَالِ فَأَبَيْنَا أَنْ يَحْمِلْنَهَا وَأَشْفَقْنَ مِنْهَا وَحَمَلَهَا الْإِنسَانُ إِنَّهُ كَانَ ظَلُومًا جَهُولًا. Which is telling us that Allah Ta'ala, He has given this man, the human, the honor to be Khalifatul Ard. Yes, to have an amana. The amana is that of being given your nafs and then being accountable for it. Despite the challenges, despite the attractions and distractions, this is the challenge for mankind, and mankind is up to it, and they can. Yes, but unfortunately, إِنَّهُ كَانَ ظُلُومًا جَهُولًا. But some of mankind, they become extremely zalim, and they become extremely jahil. No, you should become extremely good at worshipping Allah. Yes, you should become adil. You should give Allah His right, and you should become alim. You should learn Allah Ta'ala's deen. This would make it easy for you to fulfill this responsibility. And the other reason for this is لِيُعَذِّبَ اللَّهُ الْمُنَافِقِينَ وَالْمُنَافِقَاتِ وَالْمُشْرِكِينَ وَالْمُشْرِكَاتِ. Allah Ta'ala, He will punish the mushrikeen and the munafiqeen. وَيَتُوبُ اللَّهُ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ. And He will turn in His mercy towards His believing men and women. وَكَانَ اللَّهُ غَفُورًا رَحِيمًا. And indeed, Allah Ta'ala, He is most forgiving, most merciful. So Surah Al-Ahzab, I felt it was important to try to understand this surah properly, inshallah, because it has some very important teachings, fundamental and essential teachings for our belief, our love, our relationship, our heart towards Rasulullah ﷺ and his mission, etc. So this I thought was important. So tomorrow, inshallah, we would start to look at the next group, which is group 4. Yes, and as you know, group 4 is about Tawheed. Yeah, Tawheed. And I will spend a bit of time tomorrow, although I was planning today, but we haven't got the time now. I want to go through this. So if you can go through this table, yeah, before tomorrow, this would really help tomorrow. This table about Tawheed and Shirk, yeah, the aspects of Tawheed and Shirk. And tomorrow I will also introduce these two concepts, and we will compare the two and the different aspects, so that then inshallah when we look at the surahs in this section of Tawheed, then inshallah they will become more clear to us, inshallah, bi'idhnillah.